to week, but you know it's going to be very competitive. And they finished the season strong. And had they had a 12-game season, they might have rolled a few people up after those first 6. So that's why 2020 is really hard to gauge where Eastern Michigan truly was.
Jaron Russell and the St. Francis offense back out onto the field. This is a handoff to Marquise to Shields, picking his way ahead before he's brought down. That time by Woo Scott. And back on that note of Eastern Michigan, as there's an Eastern Michigan player down on the near side of the field after the 2-yard run. EMU won their final 2 games. So instead of would have been 1st and goal for the Eastern Michigan offense, it'll be a 2nd and 10 for Jaron Russell and this St. Francis group that will try to regroup. This time Russell hands it off to Shields, gang tackled promptly.
Very fortunate.
Will be more consistency when you talk to people within the program. They point out the defensive backs being much improved.
Yeah, and they have some familiar faces that aren't out there tonight. So it's just one of those things where attrition has set in. A guy like Mark Lee, number 17, who actually freshman from Columbus, Ohio, Northwood, my neck of the woods. Mark Lee.
He waited on that one and hit his shoulder pad, I think almost before it hit his hands. Daniel on the tackle of Berger. So 3rd and 3.
But if you're a Badger fan and you're looking to see, okay, well, did Graham Mertz make a good throw?
Put it on him.
He put it on him. He put it in the right spot with the perfect trajectory, right at the back of the end zone, right where his guy could get it. He just didn't catch it.
Mertz 5 of 6, 58 yards, 3rd and 3 here. Bringing the pressure are the Eagles, and they get to Mertz, their first sack of the game. Woo Scott among 3 that were there. Here's another look.
There's going to be pressure from his left side, his blind side. He does a nice job stepping up into the pocket, but just really nowhere to go. You can see Scott and a host of other Eagles had collapsed the pocket from the front, really nowhere for Graham Mertz to go. But a good job there on that play. Ball security. Always told 2 hands in traffic. He wraps.
And it has been for a long time. Great defense, control the clock, run the ball. It's a formula that has worked out well for them for many, many years now. And you have head coach Paul Christ taking over the plate calling duties once again from offensive coordinator Joe Rudolph. He focuses more on the offensive line. And then you have Christ, who was the former quarterbacks coach here at Wisconsin, working with the quarterbacks as well. And Eastern Michigan says nothing going there. Woo Scott battling some cramping earlier in the game. Big fella there to make the tackle.
Oh, yeah.
Reeling him in. Reeling him in, Woo.
Big Woo got all those electrolytes at halftime. He's fine now. You can look at him fight through there. Did a nice job. And I told you, he's a big fella, but he's quick. Got that first step.
Mind to play in just 5 games last year. The 2 leading receivers for Wisconsin, so that gave DK a chance to develop maybe a little earlier than he would have had those 2 been on the field. Justin Jefferson on the stop. Malusi getting up a little bit slower, but looks to be okay. Malusi came to Wisconsin because he wanted to be the man. And he had been a backup for a couple of years at Clemson. 71 total carries over 2 seasons at Clemson. And so far, he has 51 carries now in 2 games at Wisconsin. So
offense, because they just had a lot of adversity, which we'll be talking about over the last few weeks. They got a lot of their guys back in the 2 deep. That's important for them. It's important for starting quarterback Brady McBride to get underway.
Yeah, 61% completion rate over his career. Turns it over here and there, but they run a wide open offense. They like to get him out in space. He likes to extend plays, but if he goes through his progressions and actually finds the man that's open and takes what the defense gives him, he'll be just fine.
And they will start right from the shotgun. You're going to see plenty of that today. An early handoff. They said they really want to be 50-50. All things being equal.
In a big third down situation and keep the drive moving. This is a very important drive for the Bobcats.
So that gets him at least out to the 32-yard line and buys their defense a little more time. They'll go to the ground game. Maybe about 3.5 yards is that pile they try to push forward.
And one of the strategies.
And try to get their offense going here because it has been really tough so far, with the exception of one possession when they had some excellent field position for the Bobcats and Jake Spavital's offense.
Yeah, Jake Julian averaging 50 yards a punt, but the return man, Chandler Spates, did an excellent job. I mean, he was a riverboat gambler the way he went after that, catching that football, but he probably saved his offense 15 yards of field position by fielding that punt.
So they take over at the 25-yard line. The handoff looked like Calvin Hill up the middle and got maybe 3.5.
McGee, senior out of Canton, Michigan. It's a good play here. I really think Texas State needs to get some points here, Anthony, before the break. They have a great drive going. Looks like they figured out a little bit. Run it on second down, run it on third down, stay out of second and third and long.
Well, it's interesting talking to head coach Jake Spavital. He doesn't want to coach a lot of that feel out of his quarterback, but at the same time, he understands while he's going to make big plays, he's going to create second chances, he also needs to guard against the big mistake.
Right.
And we've seen a little bit of both worlds so far in this one.
Definitely.
Nowhere to run at all. They tried to go quick.
Well in space.
Well, you might want to get the popcorn out as Brady McBride is going to be back on the field. The last few times we've seen him, he's had plays that you just don't see very often in college football. But here the handoff to about the 25-yard line.
As he just did.
This is Whaley. Pick up 4, maybe 5 yards. That'll
It's a big down coming up for this Eastern Michigan defense. If you're going to go ahead and be successful against this Northern Illinois bunch, you've got to put them in third and long situations. Force Rocky Lombardi to drop back and have to make those tough quarterback throws. You cannot allow NIU to be in these third and short situations. So big down, you got to make sure that you go ahead and get a nice play here if you're Eastern Michigan's defense.
Lombardi gives it. Whaley has his legs taken out on the tackle. The Arizona transfer, who his Eastern coaches say is the hardest worker on the team, Jose Ramirez, who commits the infraction.
I know it's only 7-0, Doug, but defense coordinator Neil Nethery, he cannot be happy with the way that his bunch has come out and performed thus far, making penalties, getting bullied by this Northern Illinois offensive line.
And that's highly unusual for the Eagles, who lead the country in fewest penalties per game coming in. Only 3 penalties as a team per week. Ratkovich, again, is used in a lot of different ways. Right now, the feature back in there for Harrison Whaley, who's having himself a good game. He's getting closer to 100 yards himself, and either way, NIU just keeps moving the football.
Yeah, Eastern Michigan has to find a way to stop the bleeding. Now you can see Northern Illinois, they're just leaning on Eastern Michigan. And mind you, Doug, we're still in the second quarter. Eastern Michigan has got to find a way to go ahead and put some blows in there and fight back.
Well, there's a little bit of fight. Several of the Eagles waiting on Ratkovich. And he was pushed back initially by Wu Scott Sr. His given name is Marqualin, but he goes by Wu, and he's got a son named Marqualin as well, and apparently Junior goes by Wu as well.
And what do you know, Doug? Look and see what time the other white jerseys to be able to corral Ratkovich before he's even able to pick up 1 yard.
Yeah, Dexter Maynor, freshman from Lincoln, Georgia, made the first contact. So 2nd down and 10. Ratkovich. That'll bring up a 3rd down and long with the clock. They cannot allow the Eagles to score either another touchdown or a field goal, or else the game could be over.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to take the football away. You're going to have to bite, kick, scratch, claw. You got to strip the ball. You got to do things like that because you can ill afford another score by Northern Illinois, even if it's a field goal. Otherwise, it's going to be able to really put this game out of reach where you're going to struggle to have to go ahead and scrounge for 2 quick scores to try to go ahead and tie it up. So definitely it is incumbent upon Eastern Michigan to get out of this without giving up any points whatsoever.
Okay, congratulations to Ontario Brown, the freshman running back, who's gone for 101 yards here in the second half in his collegiate debut. But they give it to the senior, Ratkovich, who barrels ahead inside the 10-yard line down to the 8.
30-second charge timeout, Eastern Michigan, their second.
And that will leave Eastern Michigan with 1 timeout remaining.
Yeah, now Eastern Michigan is doing a pretty good job of not allowing the big.
Eastern Michigan defense reeling a little bit. It's the 3rd time that Miami has had the football. 3rd time they're on the march putting a drive together. Stay on the ground. Tyree Shelton, the 185-pound sophomore, on that carry. So they got Bester.
Can't afford to give it the inside because you have no safety help in the middle of the football field.
That was key there. There just was that any high safety help. Now back to the ground game. Go to their zone read and trying to push out a couple of yards on that.
But he wears number 11, folks. Keep an eye on him. There he is. Touchdown. Of course, already a reception. FBS again, active leader in receptions coming into today. That's all 130 teams that comprise the FBS. And this is quarterback Drew Plitt. Had to ad-lib that. Gerard wanted to throw.
Pulls it in, pick up those positive yards.
Now going back quick and run the football with Will Jones. Jones following that offensive line.
Enough for a first down.
And that was impressive by McDonald. You saw the quickness to get to the outside. He made a real quick decision that he was going to run the football. I thought he was getting outside to probably try and go down the field, but he saw a lot of green in front of him and was able to get close to almost getting that first down.
Yeah, they'll call it a gain of 9, so 2nd and 1, beg your pardon. A little over 2 minutes to go in this opening quarter. Meanwhile, McDonald is lined up as a receiver. Teron Keith, a former high school quarterback, took the snap but was promptly wrestled down in the backfield by Woo Scott. 6'2", 319. He got there pretty quickly.
That's one of the greatest names in college football. Woo.
Finds a connection on the sideline. Jamal Johnson on the receiving end. Forrest, you had an interesting conversation during the break. You mentioned that Bowling Green likes to run a lot of empty set, but they haven't been able to do that today.
Well, because I think they came into this ball game thinking we've got to give some extra protection back here for McDonald because of the aggressiveness of this Eastern Michigan defense. And also, McDonald has a long release, so I think they want to make sure he has time to get the ball down the field. If you look, even on that sprint out, he's got a long, elongated release, so you want to make sure you give your quarterback extra time so he can release that football.
Jason Patterson went into the teeth of the EMU defense that time. Very minimal gain.
As you think about some quarterbacks that had a long release, I wonder. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I would say maybe Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
But it was more of a flick.
Yeah.
He would, have that arm kind of extended, but then he would flick it out there. But one thing, like I said, when McDonald just setting his feet is one of the things I think that helps him. When he sets his feet, he's able to get the ball down the field.
Phillip Rivers is a guy who McDonald might have grown up watching because Rivers here. And as Forrest talked about at the moment, learning in the tough situations. That pass was intended for Tyrone Broden. Young defensive back Kempton Shine was in on the coverage for Eastern Michigan. So it's up 3rd and 8 here. A deep drop back from Matt McDonald, and that pass was deflected.
Finn is starting to get in the rhythm here. This time it's Jerwan Newton gets the pass.
And we talked about in the open, listen, you got to get Finn off his spot. You got to get him a little uncomfortable. Duran Rush, we talked about him right now. Clean pocket, sitting there with all the time in the world, setting his feet, and he's picking apart the secondary.
1st and 10 now from the 30. Under 2 minutes to play here in this first quarter. Handoff is to Kelly. Kelly over the right side, a gain of 3.
And Kelly couldn't locate the ball, and next thing he knows, he's looking, and Beydoun makes the reception, and he's on his way in to the end zone.
You think about it, the last 4 plays from scrimmage, if you look back towards the end of that first half, that's really a 14-point swing.
Yeah, the 7 that came off, they thought they scored a touchdown with no time left, and then a quick score there. Man, that's Maction personified, right?
Ryan Kodak on the carry over the right side for a gain of 4. We do have a flag.
It's in the area of holding, and we've had a few calls. Been a pretty clean game for the most part, for as much scoring as we've had.
Holding. Offense number 71. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
That's the left guard again. Vinny.
Zone read, pure zone read they've run tonight, where DeQuan Finn pulled it and runs out of bounds smartly, and he's just coached up. They don't want him taking unnecessary hits, so probably could have turned it up and picked up a couple more yards, but goes out of bounds and picks up 4 and lives for 2nd down here.
Hey, you got time, be room.
3 wide receiver set for Toledo. Finn stepping up, but can't avoid the pressure. A loss of 2. Jose Ramirez, just have yourself a night.
And Ramirez is getting blocked. The pocket starts to collapse. As Finn steps up, he just rolls off that block back inside to Finn to get the sack.
Ramirez now leads Eastern Michigan in tackles. Open, but just throws it a little short.
Listen, I'm no quarterback expert. I was a running back, but I've watched enough football my days. To me, he tries to arm throw it instead of really turn the hips and fire it out there. And a couple times he's done that tonight. He short arms it.
But it does stop the clock. 2nd and 10, 2:44 to play.
But he had the receiver wide open. I mean, it should have been a pass he could complete, and he can just step out of bounds, and it's 1st and goal.
His back-to-back red zone trips for Toledo. Completes that one to Winstead. Makes a move. This is going to be close to the marker.
One of the more reliable receivers a week ago had 6 catches for more than 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in last week's win against Miami. Charles.
Yeah, they go right after the defensive backfield, which is going to be without Kempton Shine, who was injured. And I think they're going to attack. They're going to use different formations. You see them in the pistol a lot, but they can throw the ball down the field. They played really well, Ohio did, against Miami last week.
Monty Rogers back in at quarterback. The give to Tuggle, who's met at the line. And on this drive, that's a gain of 8. Third carry for 8 yards there on the drive.
Yeah, condensing the game, really just forcing this Eastern Michigan defense to stay out there, and what you want to do is come away with points. They've been able to really drive the ball well, make some plays in the passing game. This forcing this Eastern Michigan's going to have to start bringing some pressure.
First red zone trip of the night here for Ohio, and watch what they're doing. Watch that play clock. They're in no hurry to snap this football against this high-powered team in the Eagles, but right now it's the Bobcats showing the power. Bogan with
of attack on both sides of the football. And once again, I want hand eaters. I want guys that eat with their hands. I want guys that look for work. I don't want guys that don't get no hitters. I want guys finding work and making contact.
Western Michigan did a great job of moving the line of scrimmage last week. Started their game against Akron with 13 straight runs. And they'll start with a run here. That's the handoff to Sean Tyler, who had a first down. Now he's got a first down. Move the chains again. Gain of 11.
And Sky Moore is one of those receivers that you've got to get a bump. You cannot give a free release because he has that shake and that wiggle that you look for on the outside. And once he gets in the open field, I don't think there's anybody out there that can catch him.
If you're Neil Nethery right now, your defensive coordinator, what adjustments are you making right now?
Well, I'm doing the same thing that Western Michigan is doing on defense. I'm creating chaos. I'm moving guys around pre-snap. I'm not allowing the offensive linemen to get their reads.
Ellerby. And good adjustment there if there was one. Sky Moore with the catch. He might have lost a yard there. Jeff Hubbard with the nice tackle.
But look at the defensive line and the defense for Eastern Michigan. They are giving them their proper reads, so they know who they're.
67 games since the start of the 2016 season are one-possession games. That's 60% of them. 8 of them decided in overtime. 19 of them coming down to the final play.
And if I'm a coach, I'm using that as my recruiting tool. Hey, we are right in every ball game. If we get you, we can get over the hump and win every one of these games. It's the Jedi mind trick. You've got to find a way.
Forrest, if you were recruiting, you would not be selling the weather. You'd be talking about one-score games. Caleb Ellerby. That one fall on the ground! On the ground, recovered by the Eagles! Russell Faden with the fumble recovery. And Eastern Michigan's got it with 6.5 to go.
And I'm trying to figure out how number 24, Sky Moore, did not cover this football up. But a great job by Teron Rush to punch that out. But 24, Sky Moore is right there. You got to jump on it. You got to cover it up. He lost his footing. You see him.
Makes the catch for the first down.
Well, it took long enough to get his first completion. And it goes to his star running back. No surprise there. The only surprise is that Richardson started the game 0 for 5. Got to get the football to Pimpleton. There he is.
On the screen.
What a block.
Great job along the outside. Bernard Raymond, the native of Austria, left tackle, just leveling whoever's in his way.
My goodness, watch 76. Bernard Raymond is just an absolute mauler who is going to be an NFL draft pick on the outside. The block, oh my goodness. Imagine being a corner.
Came over here as an exchange student in 2015, went to high school here, then signed in 2017, but had to go back to Austria, mandatory military service, came in as a tight end when he started playing college football, and has really found his niche along the offensive line.
Yes, he.
And there have, from what we've been told, been a number of NFL scouts in the stands at Central Michigan games this year. That certainly is going to be the case when you've got the nation's leading rusher in Lou Nichols,
who's just a redshirt freshman.
Alex Merritt replaces Jordan Crawford along the defensive line. Nichols waits in the backfield, and he takes it on 2nd down and 3. And should have another Chippewas first down right on the doorstep of the red zone. The FCS level, and now behind Chuck Martin by all of a week. He's the 2nd longest tenured coach in the Mid-American Conference. We talked to him earlier this week, Dustin, with how unusual the coaching market has been this year. Skip Holtz out at Louisiana Tech. That's 15 FBS openings. We said to Creighton, you know, what allure does that have for you, coaching at the Power 5 level? And it's a long answer, but I think it's a very sincere one. By the way, Central Michigan takes over here their own 1-yard line after a 78-yard punt by Jake Julian.
And I'm not saying that he's faking an injury right there, because we don't know what happened. It just looked like nothing occurred. He just went down to the ground. But it's becoming a problem, I think, in college football.
So how do you fix it?
Well, McElroy suggested that the players should have to sit out the rest of the series, which I think would make, at least you would think, try and deter guys from doing that.
Well, then the next level of strategy on that is to determine who's feeling in the moment of the game. But I agree with you that if that is going to be the case, then the penalty has to be severe enough to deter people from doing it. In the same way where if you get a speeding ticket, you don't want to pay the fine. You certainly don't want points on your license to make your insurance go up. That's enough to make you say, you know what, I'm not speeding.
And you know, Mike, I don't speed.
No, that's right. I beat you on the highway earlier this year driving back from Oxford.
Yeah.
You started out ahead of me, and I
called you up. I'm like,
where
are you at? You're like, I passed you 20 minutes ago.
I'm home already. Let's see what this flag is here.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 76, offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So who it was, but
the
ineligible
crushing
downfield.
blocker, left tackle, number 76, Bernard Raymond.
Oh, it's Raymond, yeah, downfield.
Beyond that 3-yard.
This is his second year. He talked about how high up he is on Kuiper's big board. Todd McShay as well. McShay has him third. Kuiper has him fourth as far as quarterbacks go.
And I think, you know, on the outside, great play, another big play.
Willis looking to throw. Pressure up the middle, gets it to his running back, Shedro Lewis. Sidesteps one tackler, picks up maybe 3 before Mikey Haney brings him down.
Saw the quickness of Lewis. Starting to see some pressure, too, in this Eastern Michigan front.
Reed swallowed up after pickup of 2.
And so much of the first half were designed run plays.